Hello, hello, everybody. My name is Polly Hart, and this is going to be interesting, very, very interesting. So for the last, let me take these off. So for the last several, I don't know, months, I've been working on a book called My Flat Earth, and I got the package in the mail today, and really excited about it. And I started opening up the box, and my wife was like, "I thought you were going to do that live." I was like, "Oh yeah, shoot!" So doing it live. My Flat Earth is a combination of books, five projects that I put together just for you. And it's part one is the testimony part, where 18 other people and myself got together and wrote our testimonies of how My Flat Earth is kind of relevant to understand the Hebrew model of the earth, with Sheol, earth, sky, dome, heaven / firmament, and we are all, I guess the well, I guess the socio-correct term would be called Christians. Anyway, believers in the Hebrew model, and some people came to Yahuwah or Yahweh or Jehovah or Jesus by studying the flat earth, and others who were already those who believed in the scriptures came to understand a deeper understanding of the flat earth through the Bible, and they were like, "Wow, I'm so amazed." And that was me and many others. So this is book, I think, 17 for me. Can't remember. Anyway, 16 or 17. Oh, hello, Gondor. What are you doing? He's going to investigate the book. So let's put all that aside, and this is the proofs of the book. Just hot off the presses. Packaging. The packing's lit. 5 proofs in this shipment. Here we go. Dun 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 dun. Ta-da! There you go. That is it. Let me show you the spine. I'm sorry, my camera is more or less a potato. I got it 8 years ago. There's the back. My Flat Earth, Why I Believe in God's Creation. Polly Hart with guest authors. Danielle, I've never said this last name out loud, please forgive me. Amat Yahu, Ken Ev Art, Chris Bowen, Jamison DeGook, Gary Dowd. Did I say that last name right? It's Irish. Mallory Freedom, Mark Fruki, Michael Fuller, Adam Gray, Ryan James, Bringle JC Lalhempuya, Jessica Mason, Todd Monticello, Brad Pupwaite, Travis Seidenstreicher, and Thomas Thomason, forward by John Conrad. There you have it. There's the front. On the back, they call us crazy. But to us, our war is not against blood and flesh. It's against the rulers and against the authorities. It's against the cosmic powers of the darkness. It's against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavens. Because of this, we take up the whole armor of God, that we may be able to stand in the evil days. Having done all to stand, we stand therefore. Ephesians 6. And then on the back here, the little blurb. Have you ever read the Bible and asked yourself the question, what if it was all actually true? Oh, many of us have, and we decided it was about time we believed it. Some of us grew up in Sunday school. Some of us grew up on the street. Yet, when it came down to it, we believed that the God of the Bible was and is the intelligent designer of all, and was of all that is and was created. Sorry. Because we needed to understand why. But we needed to understand why, and we needed to know how he did it. We desperately believed in his word, but all those around us were preaching and teaching something else. Ugh, don't get me started. Until we reconciled ourselves to the ancient Hebrew model of the cosmos, that the earth is fixed and immovable, and that he created it just like the Bible told us he did. Come with me and you'll find out how I, and many like me, found out that the Bible teaches a fixed, immovable, and enclosed earth. And there's a picture of me in the wilderness. It says, Polyheart seeks to unite the ecclesia of Christ online and around the earth by challenging them to live outside their social norms and believe the literal Bible. Poly lives with his family in northern Indiana. And that's where I'm at now, is in northern Indiana. So let's crack her open. This is a 6x9 white page. Let's see. My Flat Earth. Ta-da! A collection of Flat Earth books. Polyheart and Friends. There's my front matter. You'll find this interesting. This is all Creative Commons copyright CC BY NCND, which means basically you can rip and copy and paste as much as you want. And that's why it's all online for free. And there's the ISBN. This is my mom. She passed away 25 years ago. I love her and I miss her. Blank page. And here we have My Flat Earth Part 1. And it's kind of interspersed myself along with different authors. The foreword by John Conrad. On the opposite page, we have the rest of the books. So book 1, part 1, I should say, is the testimony. It's called My Flat Faith. Part 2, the bigger the lie, the more they believe. Kind of like why they lie to us. There's a lot of reasons I list. Part 3 is the Flat Earth Epistle, which I wrote as a missive. I've already published that online, so I guess it's already its own little thing. Part 4 is Flat Earth Scriptures. Part 5 is Team Games. Team Games is an interesting thing, and we'll get to it in a little bit. And here we have My Flat Earth Introduction, the entire book introduction here. Part 1, My Flat Faith. And I'm going to read to you a little bit in a little while, but I kind of wanted to get through. So that Chapter 4, Summer Camp Salvation, that would be my story. And then here's Jessica Mason, Unspeakable Joy, and how she tells her entire testimony. And then I go back to Chapter 5, stories Jack Kirby told, and about my comic book lifestyle. And we go all the way through Part 1, which is a goodly sum of the entire book. So here's Part 1 compared to the rest of them. Almost half. Gondor, are you going to pounce on me? I love that cat. Part 2, the bigger the lie, the more they believe. And I'll read the titles here. Why the Flat Earth is the introduction. The first one, to confound belief in the true God. Why the enemy would want to lie to us. You know what I mean? To confound belief in geocentrism. Sorry. And I give a little bit of history about scholasticism, postmodernism, structuralism, deconstructionism. To confound belief in intelligent design, we talk about Darwinian evolution, H.G. Wells' writings. To create alien gods, again, we go deeply into H.G. Wells and his movement with writing in Hollywood, and it's pretty sad. To create a new world order, we start all the way back with Adam Weishaupt, inventor of the Illuminati, and his goals. To prepare the way for the man of sin, commonly known as, unscripturally, the Antichrist. And to keep and hide Antarctica. And we talk about Operation High Jump and the infamous Admiral Byrd. And then I have a conclusion, and that is Part 2. Part 3, Flat Earth Epistle, and I've broken it up into groups. You can read that at your leisure. Part 4, Flat Earth Scriptures. I'd like to give an online shout out to Rob Skiba and Dallas Quinley for compiling these scriptures, I found more, and there's others who I've worked with, and I kind of group it by what I found was important. Sorry. The sun moves by God's power. Joshua, I throw in Jasher just because the book of Joshua mentions Jasher. For Hezekiah, from Isaiah and 2 Kings, and then the prophecy of Habakkuk. Jesus in the flat earth talks about the times where I felt Jesus was referring to what he knew as the flat earth, the four corners of the earth, and I don't give any commentary on these scriptures. I leave that up to you as the reader. The firmament above the earth, the sun, moon, and luminaries. Lots of those. The heavens and the earth. This is a large grouping. The system of the world, how the earth and world operate all together. Sheol and Hades below the earth, which I think a lot of flat earthers miss. If we don't live on a globe, we live in a snowball, and I've seen all the pictures of just like a rounded top, you know, with like the earth and the sea is in the middle, but I don't see anything underneath. And the Bible does talk about the foundations of the earth, and it does talk about Sheol / Hades, not hell, below the earth. And so I believe the entire system is a sphere, but it's an enclosed sphere. But that's just my personal belief. But so whatever you want to think about, I just burped, I'm sorry. Whatever you want to think about Sheol and Hades is up to you, but I threw in all the verses I could find about it. And then we have part 5, Genesis 1 team games. Now, if you go to the website, myflat.earth, you will find the Genesis 1 team games link on the right-hand side leads you to another page, because this is a psyop. This is a subversive psyop that I released online, and it is to teach Christians about a flat earth in the realm of what the Bible actually teaches without actually saying the flat earth. So am I wise or am I mean? I don't know. Introduction, it talks about how to lead team games. If you've never done this before, you can read through this and look at some links online. I might just post a bunch of links to good team building strategies. How to do it. It tells about what to do. Prepare your people, prepare the timeline. Get snacks, get pizza. There's an actual timeline for Friday or Saturday night. Arrive at 4:30. Get done by 10. And you can do this on a youth group lock-in. You can do this on a Friday or Saturday night with your college age career. You can do this with just a group of people. You can do this with your family. Activity 1, Hebrew mashup. It's a game. Activity 2, Project Angel. And then you have a team break, which is you sit down and write pizza and, write your little group. Cheer or chant or song, because you're going to have a skit at the end. And then you eat pizza, etc., etc. Activity 4, Empire Attack, which is an excellent game. Did I miss 3? Yeah. Okay. Oh, Activity 3, Earth to Ocean, which is a fun game. And then Activity 4, Empire Attack. Activity 5, you break write, which is a journal that you get, and all this is in the appendix in the back. And then the wrap up, and then you ask questions. And it should lead you right through from 4:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. And basically, the people at the very end of the night are going to be like exploding heads, because they're going to realize that they've never thought about some of these things from Genesis 1. So here's the appendix, which I'm really proud of. This is in black and white. You can get color versions on the website, myflat.earth. Here's game appendix activity 2 for Project Angel. I know you can't see this really well, but all of these are on the website. Activity 4 for Empire Attack, etc., etc. And then here's the journal in the very back, game appendix break writing journal. What are lights? What is the difference between light and the sun? What are luminaries? What are wandering lights? What is the vault? What is the heavens? Etc., etc. And then here's an area here where it says label the earth. And from all the things that you've read, you've got a little area. It looks like the Death Star, doesn't it? You've got a little area where you can write down the things that are from the Bible. And proof. So there you go. My Flat Earth book. Hooray, hooray. Any questions? Exactly. Any questions? So let's open it up to questions. And this book, as soon as I approve this book, it will go live on the website. These first 5 books, these proofs, I'm going to put on eBay. I'm going to be autographing these and putting them on eBay. And the money is going to go to Pastor, a friend of mine in India, Pastor Vinod Wagmare, who runs an orphanage for children. And he has 50 orphans in his home, in his church/building. And so these will go, all the profits will go to him. I'm not taking any money for this at all. The price that I'm going to be charging is the exact price of how much it's going to cost the company to make it. So I'm going through Amazon.com. Is that going to stand up on its own? Does that work? Yeah. May the creators watch over you, mate. Thank you, sir. I personally believe in Elohim Yahweh, as mentioned in Genesis 1. And I'm not really sure how to splice that up, but I believe in the God of the Bible. So yeah, that's what a lot of the people who wrote, actually almost, I think everybody, they also believe in the God of the Bible. So, but thank you very much. I appreciate that, James. Mr. Flat Earth Mage, you've been with me since the beginning of this broadcast. What are you thinking? Anyone have any questions? I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it on up if we're done. I just wanted to kind of give you guys a pre-minute view. Maybe I should have turned on the light at the beginning of the broadcast. Well, Mr. Mage, I would beg to differ with you. Genesis 1, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. The heavens there is a specific word. And I think most Christians really don't understand what that means. But because most of them believe that there's planets, right? Well, I don't think that's what the Bible says at all. Because if God created the heavens and the earth, then it's all together. There's no other land / that's the word. Man, what is that word? I could just look it up in my book. But the word land and earth is the same word. And so if there's no other land, then there's no other planets. So it's actually pretty interesting in Hebrew. I'm actually going to kind of find that and look it up for you. Yeah, Eretz. So the word Eretz is earth / land. So basically, in Hebrew, it just means in the beginning God created sky and land. I'm going to follow up with Flat Earth Mage. Do I really think that they lied to me just about the flat Earth? They being my Sunday school teachers and pastors and Christian educators. Uh, no, it's far deeper than that. Um, as it was in the beginning with Adam and Eve, they listened to the serpent, and that he beguiled them. I really honestly believe that most things in American churchianity are unscriptural. I have, as a historian, I have gone back and looked at almost everything, I think, as much as I can think of, and pondered and thought about what it was, what life was, what creation was. I was a deist for a time, but I think I'm pretty settled um, into what I believe is the truth from the Mosaic writings, from Genesis through, well, whatever. Yes, Flat Earth Mage. I agree with you. There is more land inside the dome. I believe. I don't believe what Nikola Tesla believed, that we are an infinite plane. Uh, because then how would the dome be supported unless it was a flat plane? But then how could we really do a lot of things that we do with the ionosphere bouncing and HAARP? Uh, I believe in a domed Earth, but I do believe, as Admiral Byrd said, that there is land that is far beyond the reaches of what we consider the ice wall in Antarctica. Um, I have done a lot of looking into that, and there are hot zones. There is areas there that are just, I would think, completely full of iridium, gold, cadmium, palladium, uh, all sorts of metals that are just ready to be harvested. Um, I mean, even radioactive isotopes. And I don't think that we are going to be allowed to, as the unwashed masses, to wander in there and go get it. And to me, that is one of the biggest crimes, I think, against humanity by the rulers of this world and their lords and masters. Let's go back. I'm going to look at James, what you've been saying. I'm sorry, I'm not been ignoring you on purpose, but it's been for a reason, because I wanted to address Flat Earth Mage. If you know the creators, then you must also realize that you are ultimately a result of technology used by the creators to create everything we perceive as reality. How could we not be? Yes. I believe that beyond time and reason and the manifestations of the reality that we understand, that we have been created with a vast, unique technology to Yahweh, to Yahuwah. I believe that technology is focused, and the weapon of choice that he uses is his mouth. I don't, I can't begin to comprehend or understand uh, how he works, how how his how his being, his immutable being, uh, has created all of this. Um, I'm blown away. I really am, at his mind, and all we can do is, as Homo sapiens sapiens, is crawl up that hill and strive and struggle to understand, and lead others along the way. I think it's a challenge, um, but I have devoted my life to, quote unquote, preaching the gospel to all creation, and I think this is part of the gospel, that for God so loved the world, just the one, the world, and that He gave His only begotten Son, just the one, to come and be a propitiation for our sins. Because I don't believe that people are inherently good. I believe that we're a bunch of fuckheads. So, James, let me go back to your next. If there was absolutely nothing, there would still be absolutely nothing today. Since there's something, you for example, that means absolutely nothing never existed. I agree with that. I think that God immutable means that forever, unchanging. I think that God in himself is immutable. I don't know how that works. I really have no idea. But I believe that he alone is the immutable one, and I'm not against the idea that he did other weird stuff before he created us. I don't know. There's all sorts of teachings out there. I'm a big antediluvian researcher. So before the Great Flood, and I wrote a novel about the Nephilim and the Watchers and the beasts that they created. But before that, what happened before Genesis 1? I don't know. But it says in the beginning. So was there anything before the beginning? I don't know. I'm open to suggestions on that one now. The North Pole, yes, James. Uh, I have 5 different opinions at this moment on the North Pole. Um, I have an INTP personality on the MBTI personality differentiation wave, and I am as one of those people, I'm always open to suggestions. It's very easy for me and others like me to play devil's advocate and say, well, there's this possibility and there's that possibility, and so I don't know. Is it hollow? Can we get to Sheol through the North Pole? I don't know. Is that where the what they call the sluice or the floodgate? Is that the main floodgate to get to heaven? I don't know. Did they build before the great deluge, was it Pangea, and that was the center, and that's where the Garden of Eden is? I don't know. I mean, there's, in my mind, about 5 different varieties. Flat Earth Mage, it's electromagnetic matrix. We're part of this place. We have a soul. How does your soul still work in this place? Why does the Illuminati at the top of the use magic to keep you in the dark? Pelicans. It's chains for man to break. And then James says about water. Yes, in the beginning, the spirit of God was hovering over the face of the water. Yes, I just put the book away, but water, Shemayim, I think, or no, that's air. Anyway, the water. There's 3 different ways to call it water. There's the deep, and then there's excuse me. There's sea, and there's the waters above the earth, which I think a lot of the waters above the earth froze, and now it's on the sides of Antarctica. Necronomicon is a flat book. Does that worthy of your time? No, I don't. I don't believe that I need to read any more of the Left Hand Path writings to understand that I don't need to read anymore. I used to kind of like say, well, I think I need to understand everything so that I can understand the true things. But I don't have enough time, man. I find most of my time looking at connecting the dots that I already know. As a historian, I will find like the pyramids in China, pyramids in Cambodia, pyramids in Mexico, looking at the pyramids and the sunken pyramids in Bahamas, the Baalbek stones, just weird stuff, tying it all together. I don't, my quest for truth, I think, is not one of picking up everything and studying it. I think I know where my weaknesses are. I'm not into eschatology of biblical expounding of like theologies where people say end times, Trinitarianism. Those are my 2 biggest ones that I don't care about. There's a lot of things I don't care about, and then there's a lot of things that I'm really good at caring about and that I want more of in my head. I think Arthur Conan Doyle, when he wrote Sherlock Holmes' character, he said the brain is an attic, and I don't want to fill it up with useless information and nonsense, because most trivia is trivial, I think. So let me go back to something that Father Mage said about the electromagnetic matrix. How does my soul work in this place? That is a great question, man. I believe that the spirit realm is out of flux or out of phase with the physical realm. I believe that there is something beyond our flesh, and then if we could break uh, that that temporal, I mean, not temporal, but anyway, the dimensional barrier to look into the heavenlies or the spirit realm, I would think that, or maybe stop time. I don't know what it is, how to break that, and there's all sorts of theories out there. But wow, I have been the recipient of several spontaneous remissions um, during prayer services as a child, and I was laid hands on and prayed over, and I was 5'7", and I what they call fell out under the power of the Spirit, and I got up, and I was 5'9" because my swayback had miraculously gone away. Now, I was born with a disease called prune belly syndrome or Eagle-Barrett's syndrome. You can Google that. There's all sorts of complications with people who have prune belly syndrome, and that's one of them, is swayback. Uh, but I cannot. There's no explanation. The only explanation I can find um, is the metaphysical reality. Uh, the metaphysical reality, the Illuminati, the top of the capstone, they use magic to keep me in the dark with the Bible as chains for man to break. Um, I believe that the Bibles I have on my shelf are not good translations, but I believe that the pure translations from Hebrew uh, are miraculous, and the words in them are life. And despite what man says, I have experienced a godly power in my life to do a miracle in my body. And he prayed over me in the name of Jesus Christ. And you would call it Yeshua HaMashiach or Jesus Christ, but whoever that manifestation of the Godhead was, that's who he prayed for me over, prayed over me with. And so I know that there's a godly power here. Now I do know, because my mother was into naturalism and kinesiology. I do in my former life know how to dowse and know how to witch and know how to move a Foucault pendulum to my desires. Um, but there was a year in 98. No, okay, that's way back. Yeah, so it was 2005 that I went through a kind of a thing and closed my psychic doors, and I haven't been able to do that ever since. So I'm kind of glad that that I don't have that ability anymore. And you can call me full of shit if you want to. That's fine. But I was able to do things that I can't anymore, and I'm happy. Whether that's my soul or my spirit or my tapping into a ley line of some force, I don't know. I have opinions, but I know there's a power out there greater than me that's been able to physically transform my body. And I know that there's a power out there greater than me that I don't want to deal with anymore. So yeah, so as with Moses, when he was performing miracles for Pharaoh, which I think is Amenhotep, not Ramses II, by the by, he threw down his rod, and the other guys threw down their rods, and they were able to copy, and they were able to perform the same miracles. And so Satan is called the god of this world, and I know he has power, and it's pretty freaking cool. Despite what you think about Chris Angel, I've seen some things with my own eyeballs that were not of a godly spirit, were of manifestations of, we call them devils, fallen spirits, Nephilim. I don't want to talk about, but yeah. So I believe that Yahweh or Yahuwah is the true creator. He started everything, and he created humans with the Ruach, or the breath of God. He also created these other guys that were angelic messengers, seraphim, cherubs, different beasts, different things, different rulers and dominions and thrones and powers. Some of them fell because they chose rebellion. They don't have repentance. There's no forgiveness for these guys. So Sanjaza, Azazel, Balfajor, Lucifer, they said, yeah, fuck you, God, we're going to go do our own thing. And he's like, well, I've got news for you, boys. And ever since that day, they have, when you're born, they kind of plot out your life, and they have a map for you, and they know your family, and they know your history, and they kind of want to see you die, and they want to see you fail. But I believe that God, Christ, came that we might have life, and life more abundantly. So anyway, that's my take on that. James, what do I think of the Piso family? The Roman Piso family wrote the New Testament and invented Jesus. Well, I disagree with you. There's more historical proof for the historical Jesus than. Oh, I know that. Yeah, the Piso. No, I don't. Yeah, I've looked into it. I don't think so. And this is why we Jews are the chosen people, why we've endured so much for many years. We're witnesses to the lie. Our ancestors wrote that they could. Oh well, I've got some common lineage with you. I have a Levite in my family, and as of one of Israel, I choose to believe that the Messiah has come, and it wasn't King Cyrus, but it was Joshua ben Joseph of Nazareth, and he was born in Bethlehem, and he has fulfilled all the promises that Isaiah and Micah and Jeremiah wrote about. All the fulfillment of the prophecy was through him. So I wish that you would accept him as your Messiah as well, because he came for you and he's of your bloodline. That would be awesome. But I mean, I'm not going to be able to convince you. It's not my job to defend the Judaic line, and it's not my job to defend him and his Godhead. So yeah, I don't know. That's a quote from the Conformist. Uh, oh, you were saying that that's a quote. Okay. Well, I guess you have information for me for free. Cool, cool. Excuse me. I don't do a lot of public speaking anymore. I get pretty froggy pretty quickly. It's been 2 years since I was in front of an audience. I've been taking a life sabbatical and just doing a bunch of writing. All right. So, any other questions about the book that I have? I'm gonna scroll up and copy some links again. Good, good conversation, James and Flat Earth Mage. Um, I enjoy talking theosophy and hey, thank you. You're welcome. Um, and theology. As you can tell, I've got a brain full of craziness. Uh, and so, hold on a second. So, kind of to go through the book real quick, once more, very quickly. I want to talk about part 3, the Flat Earth Epistle, and you'll find that on that Amazon site, and it's going to look like these guys. The epistles, and I've gotten in a lot of trouble with some church leaders. You can't write the Bible, blah blah blah. I'm like, no, there's a big disclaimer at the very beginning. This is a short letter to the church. Historical names have been real, and their resemblance, blah blah blah. And then I write, look, dude, I am not trying to replace the Bible. I'm not trying to do anything. This is just me, because I listen to the Bible on my little MP3 player in my car like 3 or 4 hours a day. So I'm like, it's just, I come home and I write something. It sounds just like the writings of Paul or something. So you'll find those on my Amazon site. Here's some Christian poetry, Crossing the Poet. I am an author of 2,500 poems, and these are all basically Christian ones. And I've written other poetry. Here is a book called Indigo Darkburn that I haven't actually published online. It is a demon who gets trapped in Bolivia, and his stories, and him getting to the United States and taking over someone who is unwitting but gets sucked into his charms. There's a book of love and laughter that is just basically nice poetry that you want to sell your grandma. Give to her. Here's my first poetry book, Stupid Mind Tricks. Just regular poetry. I don't know what poetry is, regular poetry, but I should know, right? 2,500 poems, right? Here's my first short story compilation. Sometimes I write tiny stories, and pretty good ones. I like this book a lot. It was easier to do than my novel, which here it is. By the Gates of the Garden of Eden. Story of Chaucer. This is a beast. This is like Stephen King or Dean Koontz. This is a beast. Story of Chaucer, who's a regular college student who gets kidnapped by Nephilim and drugged to an deep underground military base, and learns about devil's plans to procreate with humans, about cloning, about genetic experimentation, about teleportation, phase technology, and eventually just gets out and gets free, saves the girl, has a happy ending, but it's really crazy. And I get a lot of flack for it because my Christian friends are like, you should take out all the cussing in there. It's not very godly. I'm like, well, fuck no, it's not godly. It's about a guy who gets kidnapped and raped and beaten and like, well, it's horrible. But it's, scripturally correct. So anyway, from what I understand scripture to be. But it stands on its own. I might just clean it up just because it was my first novel and it was hard to do. But yeah. Anyway, those are the rest of my books. I have a couple more somewhere. My wife and I co-wrote one together called, what was it called? Adulting. How to be an adultier adult. And so that's on there as well. Oh. Do I know Knowledge Scavenger, aka Paula? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know who that is. Is that an autodidact? Someone who teaches himself? What version of the Bible do you say, Polly? None. Version. None. Hear this. If Moses and John and Paul, Peter, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, if they were all prompted by the Holy Spirit to write all these things, that all line up with each other by the Holy Spirit, and they disseminated, channeled, or moved or anointed to write it down in that language, whether it be Proto-Hebrew or Sumerian or Greek, then I want to read it like that, because Jesus said, I'm living water. You need living water. So let's say this: the Word, capital W. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. The Word was God. Same was in the beginning with God. So if the Word, Jesus Christ, or the Word, Logos, Rhema, or Torah, or the Tanakh, the Bible, if that Bible came down, boom, right there, right? And then that's living water. And then someone says, oh, I'm going to go to the Hebrew and I'm going to write a new version, like the scholars that wrote the King James Version. And they write this great piece, and it's a version of the Bible. It's in English, Old English, 1611, whatever it was. Geneva was like 15. The Tyndale was before that. And if they're reading it and then they're digesting it and then they're giving it to us, isn't that called urine? So no version, albeit if you find a translation and you translate for yourself and you read it, you can read a version, sure, but don't believe it 100%. So go back and look. Okay, is this from a good source? Okay, what source is this? All right, and then you can get it yourself. So instead of standing in line in the city at a pump in Flint, Michigan, leave the town, go to a spring, and drink directly from that spring, because I don't like drinking urine, and blah, that's just my take on what version. None. Okay, I will look up Knowledge Scavenger when I'm done here. Sounds interesting. I like people who deep think. I really do. I'm a deep thinker, and if I find others like that, then I go ahead and I go for it. Um, I'm a big fan of finding sources. You know what I mean? Like I like to find sources online, and I will go and look at what they think. But then I'm not going to believe what they think. There's a passage in the book of Acts that Luke wrote, where Paul meets, was it Peter? No. Paul meets the Bereans from the town of Berea, and he said they didn't believe a word he said until they researched it themselves, back to the Torah or the Tanakh, the law, the history, the poetry, and the prophets. They had to look at it themselves, because at the time of the New Testament, the Bible was just the Tanakh. There wasn't any New Testament. Paul hadn't arrived on the scene yet with all his great writings. Through 70 AD, when Nero burned down the temple and destroyed Jerusalem, most of it was done then. The only thing after that was John, when he was exiled in the Isle of Patmos. He wrote the book of the Apocalypse, Revelation, what we call it today. But they were pretty sturdy. So I like to be a Berean. Huh, bad Christian. That's funny. Awesome. Okay, guys, it's 4:50. It's been a good journey. Yeah, I thank you for joining my my little book reveal. Again, oops, it's called My Flat Earth: Why I Believe in God's Creation, and I'm gonna take these first 5 copies and auction them off on eBay, and proceeds will go to Pastor Vinod Wagmeyer. If you're my friend on Facebook, let me just get my Facebook link. What is my Facebook link? I think it's /Polyheart. Yeah. So I am a fan of Pastor Vinod, and I run a GoFundMe account for him. and he needs money to buy the children food, to buy the children bunk beds, and they need van repairs, and so he's a good guy. And then he's being persecuted a lot by Hindus, who are literally beating him up in the town he lives in, and so, but he wants to keep these kids safe, you know. In India, basically, it depends on the caste, but basically, if you take a child into your home, the government's like, okay, cool, you know, and so now they're your kid. So, yeah, that's what he does. He has 50 kids, and he has 2 of his own, which is crazy. I can't even. The guy works so hard, so I'm gonna give him some money. So yeah, he's a good guy. Right on, man. Hey, cool. Thanks for the plug. Yeah, so the book is free, and the physical copy is just cost. As soon as I run all the numbers through, it should be like, actually, I can do that now. Just gotta log in, find out my cost. Bear with me. I'm sorry. I should have had this in preparation. Okay. So if I choose to not have it sold to libraries, oh man, 94 cents. 94 cents a book. If you buy it through Amazon, you'll get it for $4.69. If you want to spend pounds on it, and if you're in Great Britain, $3.90. Sorry, £3.90. £3.90, I guess. Euros, $4.27. So, but I'll have it goes through CreateSpace, which is a self-publishing site. So I have it there, and it's going to be 94 cents. So yeah. Yeah, I know, right? That's good. That's a nice price. Okay, cool. All right. As they say in Russia, Blagoslavit vas Boží, which means God bless you, and thank you. And I will talk to you guys later. Hopefully. All right, bye.